What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome to the Nerdy Narrative, where today I'm going to be sharing about all of my recent reads, just the things that I've read, what I'm still working on, and what I plan to read next. Before we get into the books, I do want to say a huge thank you and shout out to all of the patrons of the Nerdy Narrative channel. It is because of your generous support that I'm able to pay for everything that I need to in regards to this channel, so thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, let's talk about what I read. The first book that I want to talk to you guys about this week is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. This was the book that was voted for the Wine and Crime Book Club for the month of July. Everybody loved this book. I don't recall seeing anybody in the group give this one less than 4 stars. I'm pretty sure everyone gave it 4 stars that read it with us this month. We did have the live show for this one last Saturday. I will link it in the description box below, also in the cards above if you want to check it out. We started the live show off with a non-spoiler summary of what the book is about, and then I asked everyone on stream and in the chat to give their ratings for it. So if you're looking to see if this one might be for you, you can absolutely watch the first few minutes of that stream. And the hosts that joined me were Kate, Lauren, and Anitha. I'll have all of their channels linked below if you want to check them out. So I won't take up any more time talking about this one today since we have that live show you can check out. I absolutely love this book. I am now a huge fan of Riley Sager. I cannot wait to read more of their work. I hope all of their thrillers are written just like this one, because if it is, I'm gonna have a great time going through their backlog. The next book that I have here that I finished is The Lady of the Mark by Alex Hansen, and it's the first book in their series, The Men of the Mark. Now you notice I have a physical copy here today. This book was part of my batch to read for the SPFBO contest. When I updated y'all last week, I had not started this one yet. I started after filming and I absolutely loved it. I could not put this book down. I want to say I read it in 3 sittings, and as soon as I read the last page, I immediately came up here and did 2 things. I ordered my physical copy and I wrote my review. I just couldn't even go to bed without doing those things. I loved it, and it's not even a subgenre I go for. I'm pretty sure this is going to be classified as a fantasy romance, and while that is an important element of this story, it's more about the character's love story and how that plays into the events that is taking place around them. All of the elements of this story are extremely interesting. Our main character in this one is Shayla. She becomes the first female to join this guild of warriors called Men of the Mark. In my opinion, it would be a spoiler, or at least ruin some of the enjoyment, if I told you how it is she came to be the first female to join this group. One thing I will say points to the author for not just handing it to her. She worked for years to become a part of this guild, and it wasn't easy. But it turns out, I believe the training was easier than the treatment she got from the other members of the guild once she joined. Because as you can imagine, they've been around for all these years, only men, and here all of a sudden we have a woman in the ranks. And that changed the dynamic of the group, because now you gotta have separate rooms or housing because we have a female. So that itself was a fascinating story, and if that was all we got from this, I would have been perfectly happy. But we have more. We have civil unrest that's going on. This land has been separated, the east and the west. The line that divides this land is really deep, and you have some that like it this way because they're making money off of it, and then you have others that's trying to heal that rift and make the land whole again. It's funny to me how much I love the plot, given that I am a character-driven reader, but I also really love the characters. But let me clarify what I mean by I love the characters. There were some really evil characters that I loved just how dark they were. There were some characters I wasn't sure about. There were some I did not like, and then there were some that I loved. And it was so hard because over the course of the story, I kept wanting to give my heart to more characters that I fell in love with as I was going through, but I was scared to because there's a big mystery that's also going on, and so I'm squinting at everybody trying to figure out who the rat is, and I just couldn't decide, and I just kept falling in love with more characters, and I cried. I cried 3 times while reading this book. It was so good. I just loved it. And I went in with 0 expectations. In fact, I thought I might not would like it if the romance was too much. I will tell you, there is some sexy time that happens, but it's really short. As much as I love the character, I can't even call him a minute man. He's more like a 30 to 45 second man. But the author does not spend a whole lot of time on that, so if that's something that you don't like, don't worry, it's over in a matter of seconds. There are those that I know that skip those parts. You will not miss anything if you decide to skim past it. It's such a small part of the story. With the world building, I love the world building. It definitely has steampunk vibes to it, which has been something I've really gotten into lately because of the Books of Babel, and then more recently, the Risen Kingdom trilogy. Of course, with any fantasy world, they have gods that they worship. I didn't recognize any of the names of them, so I don't know if they're styled after any particular culture. The author did provide footnotes that anytime a god was mentioned or a plant that was indigenous to this fantasy world, there are footnotes right here at the bottom of the page that'll tell you this is the god of the underworld, or if it's a plant, it'll describe the plant to you. I just thought it was so well done. Cannot wait to read the next one in this series. Let's see, I did do a little bit of work in Ted Chiang's Exhalation collection. I finished The Life Cycle of Software Objects, and I also read Dacey's Patent Automatic Nanny. The Life Cycle of Software Objects, I ended up being a little unfulfilled with that ending, so it's definitely not one of my favorites from this collection. The Great Silence, I thought, was absolutely beautiful, and if I were a literature teacher, I would absolutely teach that to my students. Dacey's Patent Automatic Nanny, it was okay. I get the point that the author was making, and it is a good point to make. It was just middle of the road okay for me. Talking about middle of the road, I also read a couple out of Nightmares and Dreamscapes. I read Popsy and It Grows on You. Both of these were okay. Popsy was okay. I think I would have liked it better if it wasn't butted up next to another story that was very similar to it. As far as It Grows on You, could have done without that one. Like, it was just weird. It was a little gross. I'm not really sure what the point of it was. Maybe there wasn't one. It is Stephen King after all. I also read episode 17 of a mini tale. This one was called Lakes and Neon Light. It is the second one in a 3-part series. The first one, Opaline blips to a planet, and he's basically watching that planet's version of NASCAR. It's a very high stakes race, and of course he meets a character that's competing, but an issue arises and they don't know if they're gonna be able to continue the race, but they really need to. So Opaline's like, you know what? I got you, bro. Episode 17 is the continuation where it's basically Opaline's training montage where he's trying to learn how to drive this car. It was really funny. I don't know if he's going to pull it off, but I'll be reading the conclusion of this arc very soon to find out. I also snuck in my next nonfiction essay by Joan Didion from her collection, We Tell Ourselves Stories in Order to Live. This is a read-along with Kate from the Literary Apothecary. I'll have her info linked down below. The latest essay I read is called I Can't Get That Monster Out of My Mind. Joan put on her film critic hat, and she had a bit of a go at the movies that were coming out in Hollywood in 1964. Not only did she have some snark about the movies, her snarky comments went on to include their directors as well as the big production companies. It was a pretty funny read, but at the same time, some of what she said about this industry in Hollywood in 1964 are things we still say today. So I guess that means I should quit belly aching. Hollywood's not gonna get any more original. They're just gonna keep remaking stuff they have no business touching. So yay. That will take care of all of the things that I've finished since the last time I updated you. What am I still working on? Right after I finished reading The Lady of the Mark and ordering my physical copy and writing my review, I immediately picked up Beth Lewis's Bitter Sun. This one came highly recommended to me by my friend Penny, who has never steered me wrong on a recommendation yet. And this one is another one I have almost been unable to put down. I'm not familiar with Beth Lewis as an author. I know this is the second book she's written. I don't know if her first one is a thriller. This one is. 4 kids who are best friends. They go to this part of the field that's not used by one of the neighboring farms, and they have built a fort that's hidden from the adults, and they go there as often as possible. But on this particular day when they arrive, they notice that someone's been there. Stuff is just messed up. There's just mud everywhere. They go about cleaning everything up and setting it to rights after they figured that the person is gone. Once the cleanup is finished, because the town is currently experiencing a heat wave, the kids decide to go swimming at the lake that's right next to the fort, and they find a dead body. For reasons that the children just cannot understand, the law doesn't seem real concerned with finding the killer or even identifying this girl. The kids feel responsible for this body. It's upsetting that no one's trying to find out who this person is so their parents could be told. They decide that they are going to investigate this matter for themselves. And while I feel like I'm telling you this and it sounds very Nancy Drew Hardy Boys, this is not a lighthearted book. It's very serious. The kids are facing danger from more than one direction. Some in connection to the dead body, others from different areas of each of their lives. In addition to this story being about the murder, it's also about these 4 children and their lives. And I'm about to die to know who done it. I want to know who this killer is so bad. I've been messaging Penny about my suspicions. I was like, oh man, I hope it's not this person. And then I found out something else about that person. I'm like, no, I don't want it to be this person. I like this person. So I'm just about to die to finish this one. I'll definitely get it done over the next couple days, and I'll tell you guys next week just what I think about it as a thriller as a whole, because sometimes thrillers get ruined by their endings, which is sad because sometimes they're so good and then the author does a little something at the end and I'm like, why did you do that? You were doing so well. But along with Bitter Sun, I'm also working on Into the Dark by Claudia Gray. My husband actually started listening to it first. He's the one that told me about it. He found this list that Penguin Random House Audio did. It's all of the books in the Star Wars universe that's considered canon currently. We'll see what happens as time goes by. And they're all audiobooks. The audiobook is amazing, or at least the first one. And it's narrated by Dan Bittner. He is phenomenal with voicing all of these characters. And of course they go back and add all of the Star Wars themes and sound effects of the lightsabers and spaceships and the songs. And it just feels like when you're somebody like me who grew up on the movies, when you hear the music and the sounds, you can visualize that world. You can visualize what's going on because you're so familiar with that world. So the production value is top notch. I'm assuming that they'll do this kind of production for all of them. I don't know. We'll find out when I start the next one. This particular one, I don't know if it's going to be the whole series or not, but Into the Dark is considered YA. And it is definitely what I would call on the younger side of YA. It's still a very enjoyable read. I've encountered a couple of races that I've never heard before. It's just interesting to me because these are characters I've never heard of before. It's all new. This all took place thousands of years between the ones that I've known, except Yoda was mentioned once. So that Joker ain't centuries old. He's millennia old. I'm almost done with that one. I'll definitely finish it today. I was listening to it this morning while getting ready and I think I stopped at 93% of the way in. I did talk to Chris. He has agreed that we're going to do a video review for it. So if you're watching and you've read Star Wars The High Republic or you're working your way through, comment down below and let me what book you're on. Let me know if you're excited to see Chris come on the channel and review these books with me. I'm excited. I'm really excited. Although it's been really hard for us, we're trying not to talk about the book with each other so we can save it for the video. It's so hard. We keep like, hey, are you at the part where, wait, we gotta stop talking about it. So I hope you're looking forward to it as much as me. If you are not already subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos, whether it be Star Wars or videos like these, all of my recent reads where I just talk about what I read, what I'm reading. Hey, I didn't talk about what I'm gonna read next, did I? I have so many good books on my August TBR. It's really been difficult to pick what I'm gonna read next. I finally decided to go with The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. It's book 2 in the first trilogy. I loved the first one, The Final Empire. I am looking forward to reading this one and telling y'all all about it. So that takes care of all of the things that I have read over the last week. You guys know what to do. Hit those comments down below and let me know what all you all have been working on. We've started a new month. What was your first pick of the month to read? Let me know in the comments down below. Guys, as always, thank you so much for being here. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.